Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're having an incredible day, and may peace be upon you. Welcome to the show. It Takes Courage with me, your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. I'm a media expert, TEDx curator, and also a visibility expert. So today I have a very special guest with me, Patricia Bartell, who is an upcoming author with her book From Crutches to Crushing It. And she was also a TEDx speaker at TEDx Huntington Beach. And today we're going to be talking about overcoming not just the aspects of overcoming adversity, but how can you truly push through the barriers that you have, the crutches that you have, whether it's the physical crutches, the visible crutches, or the invisible crutches that you have. So Patricia is also an entrepreneur and holds the title of the world champion in playing the accordion. Patricia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Izzy. It's great to be here and great to see you again.
Thank you so much. So, Patricia, let's get straight to the point of the book, From Crutches to Crushing It. And by the way, that the book is coming out next year. So you want to make sure that you're on her wait list, on the pre-order wait list, so that you can have some goodies from Patricia when you sign up on the pre-order wait list. So, Patricia, what is the key lesson that people can take from your book?
Yes, so the book From Crutches to Crushing It. So I think it's just a quick little background on it. I was born in Bolivia, and I contracted polio as a baby. So I use crutches to get around, and sometimes the things that we see as limitations are actually a gift that propels us into probably the greatest chapters in our lives if we look at it in that way. So I always now look at everything as like I go at it and I just crush it. And that's kind of the major theme of the book, is to crush it, because we're made for the greatness. And sometimes it gets buried with so many other things. And so the main takeaway is that we can go at any direction in life, choose whatever you want to be and do, and crush it.
Beautiful. And something important that people may not realize is that you take your crutches with you, right? You take your crutches with you and then you go out and crushing it, because the crutches, in one of the things that you said in the TED Talk, the crutches sometimes are the ones that's going to help you to propel forward versus the thing that's going to hinder you. It's just a matter of perspective and what you understand about your crutches.
Yes, because, I grew up, Izzy, thinking there was something wrong with me. And it started even from a child being adopted. And so, the idea was like, okay, I must not be good enough to be loved because my biological family didn't want me. And then I come into the adopted family and I'm rejected by my adopted mother. So then you have that again. And so this story that we can tell ourselves, like, okay, something's wrong with us. But it wasn't anything wrong with me, as it was had accepted a story. And so once we made the shift to the story and redefining, and as kind of what I talk about, redefining the crutches, are they a burden? Is it something that's wrong with me? Or is it a gift? And I think one of the treasures in life is looking for the gift in things. And that's one of the big lessons I had learned, that where the crutches were actually a gift, because they've allowed me to travel all over the world as a musician, as an educator, as a businesswoman. It hasn't stopped me. I used to say, they're like, it's kind of a handicap. I was like, I know, sometimes they're an inconvenience, but no, they actually help me go somewhere. And so, because now I'm not limited, I'm limitless.
Absolutely. So, what was the turning point that you were able to see that your crutches isn't something that is stopping you, but it's actually a gift? What was that turning point? Was it a particular moment in your life? Did something happen, or did someone say something about that? Because like you mentioned, like when you were in Bolivia, you contracted polio, and then you were adopted, and you were rejected by your adopted mom. So there was all this evidence, or so you want to call it, that kind of supported your thought that,
Yeah.
oh, there's something wrong with you. But what was the point that it changes things from your crutches to be a hindrance to it being a gift?
Yes, so it actually started, and actually it's not too long ago because I had this mentality was that I would always find a way. So I grew up on a farm, so with cows and chickens, raising horses, and so there was never a compensation made for me because I had crutches. It's like you're just like one of the other kids. So I was so grateful for that because my parents didn't allow for me to be like, oh, she's on crutches, so we'll, let her not do this or that. No, I was expected just to like any of the other children. So I'm really grateful for that because you go in life and you get challenges, and I always would find a way. But then what happened was in my journey as a businesswoman and having to go public on social media, and I would only show, you only see this part, but then the parts I was like, you don't show your crutches. It's like, no, and they're black. They used to be black because I said no, I want them incognito. Like it's like I don't want them to focus. I don't want and it wasn't that I didn't just want the focus. I didn't realize I was ashamed of it. I was like, this is why people must not like me, or why this hasn't happened. Again, all these made up stories when these thoughts don't even go through people's heads. It went through my head. And so somebody asked me, I was at a business conference, and she said, what meaning have you put to your crutches? What meaning have you put to this? And that was the first time I really ever thought about that. I was like, oh my goodness. And so it just was this thought process of like, and then everything is like, what meaning have I given this and that? And it was just like this inner introspective of my beliefs. And it was holding me back because I was afraid to get out there on the stages. Because as a musician, I went out with my instrument, and that was my voice. And it was fine. It's my instrument speaking. But now I'm hitting the stages speaking. Like Patricia Bartell has to use her voice to speak and be on stage with nothing except me. And so it was a pivotal moment because I really realized I didn't accept all of me because of the crutches. And so when I realized the meaning I had put to them, and then it's like, actually, they're not bad. They're a gift. And once it's made that transition, then I was able to accept all of me, because when you walk on stage and everybody looks at you, right? And you and I have studied with a amazing coach, Bo Eason, and he said, let people take you in. And that was really hard because of my own belief of how I saw myself. And I think, Izzy, we all have these image things. It's like whether mine were physical crutches. Sometimes people think it's their body shape or their hair or the way their nose is, but we're all wonderfully made. And so, but it's us accepting us and moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like sometimes it's hard just to be you, because when you're on your own, it's fine, right? But
Mhm.
when you put yourself in front of others, like you don't have your accordion anymore. That used to be like your thing that you could rely on, because that was what people would be focusing on when you are performing. But when you're on stage, it's like, oh, where's my accordion? Where's my this? Where's my that? And I have something similar, because I wear the hijab, I look the way I look. So where am I gonna be hiding? Instantly, like you and I, we know we're different when we step on stage. But we all have our crutches, whether it's visible or invisible. But
Mhm.
one thing that you mentioned before, Patricia, was that your crutches has helped you to go to so many places.
Mhm.
From traveling from one city to another. Patricia was just recently here in Huntington Beach, California, giving a talk at TEDx Huntington Beach. And we hang out after that. She went up and down the stairs at Laura's and Selena's place. It's just no big deal. It helps to move forward from one place to the other. And your crutches have always been that for you, right? It has
Mhm.
helped you, like from you were at the farm, like your parents didn't like, oh no, you gotta sit down now because you can't do that. But you always like have chores to do at the farm.
Yes, yes. No, it's all chores from milking cows to feeding the pigs and the chickens and the cows, and it was a lot to do in the hay fields, and I think I didn't realize, Izzy, that I was hiding. And I think that's what's the truth, is that sometimes we get all these beliefs and stories, and life provides evidence around us. And I realized I had accepted that evidence versus was saying, wait a minute, I never questioned the evidence. It's like, was that really true? Is that really
Mhm.
how my world is going to be? And it's like, no, I don't want my world to be like that. I want my world to be where I'm unstoppable. And that's my message that, even for your viewers, is like, I always thought there was something wrong with me that I needed to be fixing. So I'd go to all these personal developments trying to fix Patricia. And in that process, I realized, oh, I don't need to be fixed. There's nothing broken. There's nothing wrong with me. And I think that's a message I wish I had heard, that there's nothing wrong with you. And then for those that are listening, it's like, no, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you, and you don't need fixing. And we don't have to hide, because what that difference thing is about us is actually what makes us a unique. Is it just like you were saying in your country? It's like we step on stage and everybody's like, oh, what do we have here? And just to know that you're enough.
Absolutely, that you're enough. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing needs fixing. And I think this is the core message of your book, right? From crutches to crushing it, that is going to come out in 2024. And what made you wanted to write the book? I know you've got the stories from the farm, from Bolivia, contracting polio, becoming a businesswoman, becoming and having your own music academy, uh,
Mhm.
becoming a world champion. So what was it that kind of like pushed you to write a book? Because writing a book, it isn't easy, because you have like, what are you gonna put in? I've got so many things, and again, you gotta be putting yourself out there, making yourself vulnerable with all these stories. So what was the turning point that you wanted to write this book?
Yes, it's so funny when you say vulnerable. I didn't realize how vulnerable it is when you put all your stories in the book, and the saying, your life is an open book. Literally, this is going to be an open book, because you get to see the journey, my upbringing, and then how I made it through as a musician, as a professional musician, competing at high levels, and then my life as a music teacher and what I discovered through my music students, and then my life as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman. And then it just keeps going. And one of the reasons it's really sparked the time to write the book, so many people had asked me, please, Patricia, can you write a book? Your life is like a movie, and I thought, yes, yeah, but it was like, no, it's your life is so inspiring. We want to read a book. And I heard this so many times growing up when, I'm sorry, maybe the last 10 years. And finally, as I'm starting to speak from the stages, then it became more real. It's like, we want your work and to get this message out. So as you go on stages and you have something to give your audience and people to, so it's a testimony of that we're enough. We don't have to hide, and we can go in life and crush it. And so then it became, to me, it's like I was always in business and learning entrepreneur and marketing. But one day I realized, I want to be on the stage to share my story. So whether I can share my story on stage or through a book, and then that's when it's realized it's time to write the book. And so then I began through the process. But Izzy, you're so right, because I went to send the first part of it to a friend, and when they were going to write the forward, and it took a long time to hit the send button, because I'm like, oh my goodness, somebody's actually going to read this, and then realizing this, it was okay, because at that last little page in my life, that no, I want to be an open book. If it helps one person, it's worth it.
Yeah, and that one person can sometimes be you, because sometimes you
Yes.
don't realize certain things. Like I was reviewing the audible version of my book, Hello Success, and I was reviewing it. I wrote it with Brenna Davis and Selena Lopez Hinojosa, and I'm like, when did I write those things? Like, did I really write? Oh my God, did I even share that? Oh, that part is good, but I'm like, but you know, it's just so like there's something about when you take it from here to a book, there's something transcendental or divine things, something you don't even realize, even though you have read it multiple times in terms of the proofreading and the editing process. But
Mhm.
there's nothing like it. That's why this precious wisdom, or however that you want to call it, it's so valuable in having in a book. Yes, it's credibility. Yes, it's prestige. Yes, it's a lead magnet and all those things. But what Patricia was saying, if I can just help one person, and that is my job done. And that person can be whoever at a point of time. It can be even be yourself, that you need to hear your own message that you tell yourself, or it could be someone else. So, Patricia, what is the one thing, something surprising, or something surprising that we can expect from reading your book, from Crutches to Crushing It?
Something surprising. I think something surprising and a twist in the book is, I think, when people first see me in public, so in through the book, and, you hear the stories, and sometimes it's easy to put people on a pedestal. It's like, oh my goodness, they're great. They've done all these accomplishments. And like, yes, I hold a world championship title in music. I've excelled extremes in business, have multiple companies. And when people see that, it's like, oh, it just was, life just happens. And then when you see me in person, I'm petite and I use crutches. And I think the thing is that the surprises people is like, oh, we didn't know you were on crutches. We didn't know that this is how you look, but when you have accomplished all these things. And I think it just shows what's possible. And also the confidence, that how I built the confidence from being shy, introvert, not even having a voice, because I grew up, where we weren't allowed to, formulate our own questions or question things to try to figure out why is it that. In order to learn, it was like, no, we'll tell you what to think, how to think, and when to speak. And so now to have a voice and realize, oh, all these things can be developed. If you don't have confidence, it can be developed. If you don't have your voice, it can be developed. So whatever was ever taken from you is what is actually your superpower and your gift. And I think that's going to be the surprising element for people to read, how it went from impossible to possible.
Yeah, the possibility of things is just limitless and endless. It probably started with a dream that Patricia has, or like, or just like, no, Patricia, she's like 5x on everything. She would just like keep moving. If you can tell the way she speaks, she's like, no, 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 no. So it takes a lot for her to speak at TEDxHuntingtonBeach and to slow things down, because because you want the audience to be able to enjoy you. But then there's also that element, right, Patricia, that you were saying, that when people see you, the perception versus reality, when people see you a certain way, they make an assumption that you're X, Y, and Z. But when they meet you, you're like, oh, you're actually ABC, for example. So it's just so interesting to see, like when we hang out, Patricia and I, and maybe Laura would join in, we were like, when you see us, when you're on business mode or we're on or speaking mode or whatever, we have our game on, head on. Like this is what we're committed to. But when we were chilling out, oh my God, like the things that we do behind the scenes and the things that we laughed about is like nobody would like get us. But that is the part that, do you feel like in your book that do you mention about this, the perception versus reality, and how you handle it when people see you a certain way? Like how do you handle those kinds of perceptions or illusions, or in a way breaking the barrier. Because when you've done so much, it can be hard for people to connect with you because they put you on a pedestal.
Right. And it's so true because, and I do share in there, just kind of the lessons that I learned along the way, and my thought process. Because sometimes you have to know, what is the person thinking, or how are they feeling when they had that moment. And I think for me in the book is I explain how a lot of it was how I was thinking. Because sometimes people would tell me, it's like, we forget you're on crutches. Because, like, easy, when I'm hanging out with you and Laura, it's just this part of us, this is just part of who I am. But I made it like something that was wrong and like a sore thumb sticking out, like, oh my goodness, everybody sees this flaw. And I realized nobody really sees it. They just like, oh, okay, that's that. And they move on. I'm the one that's still carrying the story. And so it was at that moment where I realized nobody else is doing that. Why am I doing that? And so those are the kind of the moments that you kind of hear what's going on inside my head and how the thoughts and the emotions are tied together. And when I realized, more people told me, like, we forget you're on crutches. They're like, okay, so for example, it's funny. So let's say I'm going upstairs, okay? So I have the stair rail, one crutch, and when I'm with people, they're very kind and like, let me take the other crutch. So they'll take the other crutch, get up to the top of the stairs, and we're talking, carrying on, and they continue on with the crutch, with the other crutch. And I'm like, hello, I kind of need that one, it's a stair rail ended. So, and they're like, oh, we're sorry. So they run back, give me back the other crutch, because they're like, we forget you're on crutches. And that began to happen more and more as I let go of the shield, let go of the thing I was trying to hide. Because that's like the big lessons I realized I don't have to hide. I can be fully Patricia in a fun way, extroverted, or just however I wanted to show up, and being me was okay. And I think that was a big lesson, and just walking through my journey, how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, so interesting about the stairs because, when we were at TEDxHuntingtonBeach, we went out to hang out with Laura and Selena after the rehearsal. There was a stairs, right, to go from the bottom to their, what do you call it, accommodation apartment.
Yeah, the
And
promise. Yeah.
like, yeah, I was like, okay, let's go up. And I went up. I forgot about Patricia's crutches. I didn't even offer to help her with her crutches. I'm like, da 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 da. Like, and then I'm like, oh my God, I literally forgot to help Patricia with that. But it doesn't matter, right, Patricia?
Right.
It doesn't matter. Like, you can handle yourself. Like,
Yeah.
that's how we treated you. Like, we know you can handle yourself. So, and we treat you like as no difference between us. And some people may think it's insensitive, but it doesn't even come across my mind. Like, let's go up and go
Right.
up. Didn't even None of us even offered to carry your crutches. They're like, go up and we're gonna hang out. So it's so
Yeah.
interesting in what you put in your mind and what you let it stay in your mind.
Mhm.
Whereas no one else, like, they're like, oh, okay, let's just go and have fun, or let's just go and hang out. Like, that was my main. Yeah, it was after a rehearsal. It was a lot going on, so we just wanted to hang out after that. So
Mhm.
in Patricia's book, in your book, Patricia, so you have, it's kind of like a memoir of your story growing up, from Bolivia, coming here, going to the farm, building your business. But it also has wisdom, like, what do you call it? Did you call it pearl of wisdom, right? You
Yeah.
call it this little pearl of wisdom in there. And kind of, it is a highlight of things that you want people to remember versus and also something for them to take them forward. So it's not just
Yes.
like a feel good story and then what's next?
Right.
What can I learn from it? So talk us through about this pearl of wisdom that you've discovered that can help people to break things up, or like to help them see certain things versus just leaving it as a story and just leave it at that.
hmm Yes. So my major purpose in the book was, yes, it has my story, so people can kind of relate and be inspired to know that there's so much as possible. But the part I wanted to make sure was in is that I wanted it to be a mentor to people, whether in life or business, because sometimes, it's just, we need just that one gem of wisdom that's like, oh, okay, this is how I should be thinking. Or when hard times, difficult times hit us, what is the way to approach it? How should we be thinking about it? And so each section of my life, I feel like it's in different sections. So I have the music world, I have my business world, I have, my teaching world, and now the TEDx and speaking world. So, but each of those parts, it's like there was seasons we go through. And in those seasons, it's like sometimes we need that helping hand or that word of wisdom that's like, okay, this is what I need. And so the book really serves as a mentor. And that's kind of where my main purpose in that is that in having the lessons and explaining what was going on in my life, what was going on in my thinking, and what did I wish I knew, and then what did I learn after I went through the event. So it's just I guess the main thing is that I wanted it to be a mentor so that anybody could go through it and get answers whether it's in life or get answers as they're building their business.
Yes, it's kind of like you reading the book, and it's as if you're holding their hand, right? You're telling them the story so that they can learn from their story, but also holding their hand in like, hey, let's figure this one out. This is the idea. This is perhaps something that you want to look into. This is something that you want to reflect. Like one of the things you said, like, what story am I telling myself? What story is like keep on lingering in my mind, whereas people don't really care. People have their own problems, so don't worry about it. They're not even thinking about your problems because they have their own problems. So,
Right.
Patricia, the book is coming out in 2024, which is, in a well, it's already October 2023, so it's coming out in a few months. You can go to patriciabartell.com/book. Before we end, Patricia, just give a couple of goodies that people can expect to win or or give away when they sign up to the wait list or when they pre-order your book.
Yeah, so as you know, I'm so excited for the book to come out, and it is October, easy, and I think somebody told me that closer the end of the year comes, the faster time goes. So it's like I expect the time to go really, really fast in January to be here. So for those that will want to pre-order the book, I have it's called the Crutches series, and it's a courses, 7 different courses to help you crush it in different areas of your life, especially just like whether it's first impressions, negotiating, just how we show up in life, how to crush it with knowing what to say and body language, all these things. So that is what is waits those that get on the list for the pre-sale. And when I look at for the foundations of the book, I want people to know that as they go through it, the life lessons that you can learn that will put you so far ahead. Like if I had just known that all I needed to do was change the story about my crutches, you change the story, what was going on in my head about what I thought other people were thinking. Once I changed the story, I changed the meaning, life went so much faster. And so I want to make sure that in the book is the tools that will propel you so much faster, because literally it's just the things in our head and how we're feeling that holds us back. Has nothing to do with the people around us. It has just to do with us, in understanding that, and understanding mostly that there is nothing wrong with you.
100%. And I'm so excited for, the book to come out. So you want to go to patriciabartell.com/book and get on her wait list for the book. As soon as the pre-order of the book comes out, when you purchase that pre-order, you're gonna get the courses that Patricia mentioning, the crushing it courses, whether it's the mindset aspect, whether it's the physicality, whether it's just how you see things, businessy, it's going to be really, really helpful for you. And the only way to get that is by pre ordering the book from Patricia. So, Patricia, thank you so much for being here. One last question before we wrap up is, what's one fun thing that you do that nobody knows about?
Oh my goodness. What's one fun thing I do? I have a love for animals. And I know those that know me would know me because I think being raised on the farm. So, but the one fun thing that a lot of people don't know is that I love penguins. And because penguins is when a penguin finds their life mate, it's forever. And so I think that's one fun thing that it's those that get close to know me like, oh, you like penguins? I said yes, and chocolate. That would be it. I think every
Oh,
human
that is
likes
so
chocolate.
cute. Like penguins, it's this kind of like the finding the mate. They would wait forever to find the mate, right? And then they would just stay together after. That's so
Mhm.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Patricia, for being here. And for those of you who want to hang out with Patricia or like touch base with her, you can check out her Instagram at Patricia Bartell Official. Patricia Bartell Official on Instagram. All right, everybody, that's it from me and Patricia. Make sure you sign up to her book launch, patriciabartell.com. And remember, be brave, be courageous, share your voices because you never know who is going to, you're going to help that person, who you're going to help with by sharing your voice. And sometimes at Patricia, it's just going to be one person, but that one
Mhm.
person is going to be, you wouldn't, it's unimaginable on things that you can help that person when you just share your voice. All right, everybody, take care. May peace be upon you. Until the next episode, this is your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil.com. See ya. Bye.